the problem for this is
So this is the greatest speed game that nobody knows about.
I know about it.
Sell
I
the
know about
game off.
Sell my game?
Yeah.
This is one of the few platformers of this era that has a proper physics system.
The only thing I know about this game is its anti-piracy message.
It does have an anti-piracy message. That's why I'm playing on the real cartridge. I have a modded ROM of the game on my flash cart so that I can use it for practice, but I feel inappropriate modding a game and then speedrunning on the modded version, so. All the mod does is remove the piracy checks, but still, nonetheless, it doesn't feel right.
Can you define greatest, please, and how it relates to Puggsy?
Can I define greatest? It's just a really clever platformer. It's a puzzle platformer where we really don't solve any of the stages in the intended way. I don't know, it's kind of hard to define. There's a lot of really interesting strats, some of which I've actually practiced before I came here, so you're really in probably for some sort of treat.
I'm ready.
Are you?
Yeah.
Alright, I'll count it down. 3, 2, 1, go. So we start off on the tutorial levels, which is the beach. I'm jumping a bunch because if you walk uphill, you walk a little slower than when you walk downhill, and the ground on the beach in general is sort of this wave pattern that does have some uphill sections, so.
This game has some jams in it.
Yeah, it
And
does.
also, imagine
Puggsy.
So you're not supposed to be able to jump that high, but you kind of manipulate the way that the physics engine works when you're holding an item. And if the item is being held at sort of an awkward angle or awkward level, and you are sort of flipping down into it, you can use that to launch yourself up high into the air. So like there, I was supposed to build a little staircase out of all those items, but I just used one to launch me. Puggsy, Puggsy is like a water balloon filled with squirrel blood.
That's fun.
He's an alien on this planet, so I was trying to go to the secret exit, and I'm going to go back in there to get the secret exit, but he's sort of an undefined alien. He sort of looks like one of those moon bounce toys. This is not exactly the intended way to get in there, but I will get in there, come hell or high water. You have to really carefully catch the lip of that platform with the hook in order to get in there. There we go.
So would you say that the hook brings you back?
It does. I would say that. Stop. Oh, I actually have to do this the other way, that's right, because yep, I got it. Then I'll have a minute. Can you just stop what you're doing? Thank you. That's fine. Deaths don't really cost too much in this game. And that'll pretty much be the last time I die in this game, because in this game, your power-ups actually act as temporary health. And so for the rest of the game, I'm going to have the running shoes, because they make me run a lot faster. This level is actually not necessary to beat the game, but it's the earliest spot that you can get shoes in it. Okay, dial it back there, Puggsy. So I have running shoes now, and now for the rest of the game, I'll be hopefully running a little bit faster. And we'll fight our first boss. This boss seems pretty trivial, and it kind of is, but the real trick here is it expects you to take a little bit to figure out how to launch the fish properly. It's dependent on the angle that the ship is turned, so it's expected that it's going to be harder to figure that out, but it's not. And here I'm going to make use of my iframes to get through the fire before my iframes run out. Every stage you start out with some invincibility frames, and I just use those to run through fire.
It's a good use of iframes.
So this is the first, I would say, challenging level in terms of the speedrun. So in the speedrun, okay, well, I mean, if you want to hold down the switch, you hold it down. So what I did there was that switch turned on a fan that pushed the key out. Now I need to get the key into a keyhole, But I need to carry another item, so instead I'm just going to throw the key in a very specific way, and it just unlocked the door for me. So this spot right here was a door, but I threw the key from the beginning of the stage, or from the middle of the stage all the way to the end of it, so that was nice.
Quadruple 6, that's really scary.
By hook or by crook? I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, every stage in this game has these global cycles. So, very often, if I stutter step, if I make a small mistake, it's going to throw off the cycles throughout the rest of the level. So, it's really, really important that I nail, like that right there, getting underneath both of those enemies at the same time meant that I needed to get the right pattern at the beginning. This right here is where you would typically get shoes in some runs, so you can get shoes right in the middle of that level, but I got them way earlier in the game, so it actually works out to be about the same speed. The other main runner who runs this game, Drex, he actually doesn't get the early shoes that I get, but we've timed it a few times in a bunch of different ways and discovered that it really doesn't make a difference. My way is at best just a few seconds faster, even though I got the shoes like much earlier. Give me that. I would like that. That'll work. I'll take it. So here I'm putting down some switches. You have to put an item on the switch to hold it down. And I'm doing that because this room to the right of me has these either blocks or slopes, and I'm trying to create a system that a ball can bounce through. So here, throw the ball, and it did not work. So we actually use one ball fewer than you're supposed to use, and that's because if you put the ball into the machine with the right momentum, it'll actually go where it's supposed to go. So here I let the first cycle go by, this is the pattern, and the second one I start holding down switches. And I'm gonna hold down a very specific set of switches, and the goal is to deliver the final hit on this boss so that he's as far left on the screen as possible, because the level doesn't actually end until his death animation finishes, which is him sort of riding a unicycle over to the left-hand side of the screen.
That's how every boss should end, though.
I think that's important. So it looks like it's this giant raccoon wizard, and you'd be okay in believing that, but in reality it's actually just 3 raccoons in a cloak. So because I killed him as far left on screen, I saved a little bit of time. And now we're into the water. The water levels suck. I mean, it's just...
What a surprise.
Yeah. It turns out you don't move as well underwater. Go figure.
I'd imagine you sink very well, you're basically shaped like a water droplet.
True. I have to be really careful here. Trying to throw things to kill these, but the physics underwater is very strange sometimes, so it's not hard to end up just whiffing it completely and then taking a hit. So this stage is another one where we do a very different strat than intended. You're supposed to take a bunch of these blocks and rubber duckies from the beginning of the stage all the way to the end of the stage and make sort of a bridge for yourself, but I'm not going to do that.
Oh wow.
Just land on the rubber ducky.
You make this stage so much fun.
So here I need to get a key. The guy who's holding the key is actually invulnerable. The only way to kill him is to open up the floor underneath him. You were not supposed to go that direction. So there was a raccoon walking around back and forth up there, but I opened up the floor so that he would die. There's a lot of raccoons dying in this. If you are a raccoon lover, I'm really sorry. She didn't have to die, I just chose to.
Is that not the emote movie?
So I'm waiting for a cloud right there because this level also is on a global timer, and if you wait for that cloud right there, you're guaranteed to make it through all these chimneys without a cloud coming out and hitting you. So now we're going to deviate over to the side. We've actually killed, let's see, how many bosses have we killed so far? 2? We killed Polypirate. What was the...
There's
The raccoons
Polypirate.
on the unicycle.
Oh yeah, the raccoon's on the unicycle. That's right. So that's the name of that boss is the Emperor's Old Clothes.
I don't like it.
Oh no! Don't do that! Don't do the thing you're doing.
It's very extremely gooey.
Okay, it worked. Oh well.
What?
So there was a rope over there I needed to burn, and I set it up in a very specific way usually, so that it falls and bounces to burn the rope. But that time, it happened differently. This is the worst level in the game. So you have to throw. All right, so we're doing the basketball stage. Kobe. Kobe. My setup is pretty precise. The reason why I'm landing so many of these is because I have a setup. Also, you'll notice if you look at the bottom 2 coins that are in the chute right now, they're kind of glitched, which means the game's going to force me to throw an extra one in there. And potentially might actually soft lock this stage.
No.
That's both the curse and the blessing of a real physics system, is sometimes that physics system makes some different decisions. Alright, are you gonna open? You're gonna open. So there's like a pretty precise trigger. There's like a pretty precise trigger there. No, I missed it. Alright. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. We're in there. We're in there. Okay, so there's a pretty precise trigger where you have to get a coin in, and so if they all stack perfectly normal, then it's fine. But if they don't, then you have to. So I'm controlling the switches at the bottom down here to control which direction some of these platforms go. So now that I got the first one in, there's like 4 switches that I have to hit with bags of flour. So one of them's already gone down there to hit that one. That's another one. Let's see what we've got now. Is it turning the right way? Yeah, this is turning the right way. And then once that one goes in, then we're good. Now I'm just waiting for the last bag of flour to go in. So we'll wait here. This boss that's coming up will look really easy. This boss is impossible casually because it's really hard to make a mental map between what switch does what. Each of these switches controls one of the gears up there, and like while the fight is going on, trying to make a mental model of which switch maps to which gear and what that gear is actually going to end up doing is just not possible. But it's much easier to just memorize it as hit all of these switches in this order.
I like his death animation.
Alright, so we're going back into the stage. We got the previous time we were in the stage, we took the exit that took us up to the rooftops. Now we're going to be at street level. Sorry about all the raccoons that had to die. So now we're moving on to the super spooky pyramids.
Oh.
So this raccoon is just tracking me in the X position. I actually control him completely by where I move. He's just trying to track me, but he can't get to me because we're in separate areas. And I have a remote control that allows me to watch him. So I'm actually down at the bottom manipulating him. I don't have full control over him. He just jumps every like 4 seconds or so. And now I just have to get him to the end of the level so that he hits the switch. Oh, I'm not getting that jump is really not great because now it's really hard to get him up there. Stop. Just go up there. This isn't hard! Okay. Alright. So, at this point now, he's on autopilot to get to the end of the level. The switch is, like, right up here above me, sort of. And he's gonna land on the switch, open the door, and we're gonna be out of here. The next level's, pretty obnoxious. It's a bunch of, beach balls, and you have to use them to hit these switches through this, like, teleporting machine. So if it goes great, this door would be open before I even got to it, but now I had to wait for like the balls to go through the warp system. Alright, so I won't... So that guy right there is going to unlock this guy down here who wants to kill me. that guy right there that just came down is going to unlock the switch that allows me to exit the stage. So I had to wait for the right one to come down. If you do it fast enough, the right one comes down first. Now in order to open this door, I need all 4 objects. So I have to retrieve the objects and take them back to that pillar there to... And the trick here is that if you take them all back immediately, you actually can't get the last one. You need one of these to get to the last one. Jump over that wall. So if you just take them back as you find them, then you're kind of sunk. And now the So Pharaoh So Cool boss. What's his name? Sorry. It takes 7 hits to kill. I can get 4 per cycle, so done optimally. Oh, I actually didn't hit the switch on that one. Oh, please hit him. Okay. I got him still in 2 cycles, so that's pretty good. Mugman is a good boy. That's absolutely right. So the whole point of this game is that they've stolen my ship because I crash landed on this planet, and they won't give it back unless I defeat all of the guardians on this planet. So all of the bosses that I'm fighting are actually planet guardians. There's a safer way to do this, like that's slightly slower, but I'm trying to do this the fast way. You can actually abuse the physics system against this wall to launch yourself. There we go. Launch yourself up it. The intended way to do this stage is you're supposed to like use the ball to get over that wall, then come over here and get the beach ball, and then use the beach ball to go back and get the real orb that you need. By the way, we also just saw Wiz and Liz's gravestones if you're into that video game series. Whatever. Leave me alone, Satan. Leave me alone. Get behind me.
Why is Satan coming after Puggsy?
Because he doesn't like me.
You're Puggsy.
He's had enough of the shenanigans.
So you're supposed to go get a water gun to get rid of these fires, but you can just take a beach ball up there and jump over them.
Sounds more fun.
It is. Oh, I actually forgot that was an enemy. I'm gonna have to go back and get shoes. I was just sort of on autopilot. I was like, there's 2 enemies coming up, and I forgot that the minecart is also an enemy. I'll have to go back and get shoes real quick. Ah! Alright, I'm gonna go back and get shoes real quick.
I haven't really looked into it too much.
I have no shoes, I have no sunglasses. I'm basically a huge nerd. But now I've got my Air Jordans again, so we're back in business.
Burning Crusade.
Important.
It is. I want to look cool. So here, this is another big skip. You'll notice on this train track, there's these things on the train track, and it keeps making the minecarts, like, disappear. They try, but then they ultimately just crash into these things, and they disappear. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to bring down 3 TNT to blow those up so that a minecart can get through. But I don't want to bring down 3, that takes time. So I'm just going to bring down 1, and instead of having a minecart push it into the end to clear a path for me, I'm going to do the greatest Hail Mary of all time. Boom. Bounced it off of a slope to do it for me. You're supposed to have a, you're supposed to have a minecart push it in for you, but if I let go of it right here for a second, it actually slides most of the way. Just sort of a weirdness of the physics of this object that I'm moving. I'm controlling it while I'm looking at it. So that switch had to be hit so that it would open up the door at the end. There we go. So we're out of that level. So now we're going to deviate a little bit to go to another boss. This stage, I don't really have to do much of anything. I can just hold direction and run. So that's good.
That's the toughest puzzle of all.
I think the real puzzle was the friends we made along the way. So this stage has sort of a weird setup to not get screwed. Let me see if I can get it. I got screwed! I really don't want to do this stage without shoes, so I'm gonna get the other backup set of shoes. Now I just have to make sure I don't die on this level, which is real embarrassing if you do. That's embarrassing. I said in advance it would be embarrassing. I'm gonna get the backup shoes. It's good to have this spot for backup shoes anyway in like a marathon run because it's really quick to grab them, and I can come back here pretty much any time for the rest of the run to grab them if I need them. The goal here is to land on that guy pretty early so that I can do this quadruple bounce right here. Because I need to get this TNT to open up this volcano before the volcano fires off. You can see right there, it just went off. Please leave me alone. If you think about it, really, you're the aggressor, not me.
What are those?
They're spheres, but because it's a black background, you can't really see the shape. You can only see the highlight on it. So this is Halitosis the dragon. He spits fire, and you're only supposed to be able to get 1 hit per cycle. But you can get 2 hits per cycle if the timing is perfect. So if you hit him as soon as he opens his mouth, you can get 1 more hit before he closes it. Yeah, everyone who sees this game nicknames him Tiptoes, but his name's Halitosis. You know, his mother feels very strongly about that name, so it's best that you respect it. I'm missing the double hits. The timing's really, really narrow. It's not frame perfect, but it's not a big window. There we go. Alright, so I got 2 double hits, which meant that I cut out 1 cycle, so not bad. Alright, so that's an extra boss that we've beaten. Now we have to do the ghost stage. There's a flashlight here that you can use to see what letters you're supposed to put at what spots, but I already know what letters I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to put that one! Come back here, letter! Alright, I'm gonna have to find that letter in a second. It's right here. Found it. This is gonna mess me up, by the way. I'm absolutely gonna get owned by a ghost here.
That's spooky.
I didn't end up getting owned by a ghost. I was absolutely certain I was going to get owned by a ghost. Alright, so this is a big skip right here that Drex actually found. First off, I'm going to get my sunglasses, so I'm super cool now. But I'm going to use the sunglasses box to skip this stage. There we go. So there's a big pit there that you're supposed to do a whole bunch of puzzles to get past, but you can just throw the sunglasses box and then bounce over it. I think I just hit start too early. Yep. You actually can't enter the stage until you land on that tile. If you hit start even a frame too early, you go back to the previous stage. Okay, so this stage I'm probably going to lose my shoes on. I just want to be honest about it. I feel like that's appropriate. You have to get past this bird in a second. Not this one. This one is just sort of a foreshadowing of, hey, there's going to be a bird later that's going to screw you over. And mark my words, he will screw me over. But I have 2 choices. I can try to sneak under him, which is super dangerous. Unless he goes high enough. Okay, I went under him. But the alternative is you can try to jump on top of him. Neither are really great strats, to be honest. I got lucky because it's sort of... We haven't figured out what controls it. I always hesitate to use the word RNG when I don't know that it's actually random. But we haven't determined what controls how high he goes. And if he doesn't go high enough, you can just like never be able to sneak under him. And so the alternate strat for a long time has been, we'll just jump on his head, but that's impossible too, let's be honest. Just ride the pulley across. So this stage, it's a really silly little puzzle where it tells you at the bottom of the stage, it says the thing that's going to open the door is something associated with the number 6. So there's a Roman numeral right there. It says 6 and a question mark. And so the puzzle is that if you put all of the odd-sided objects on the left and the even-sided objects on the right, they go up. So I just put a circle in there, which is one edge. A heart has 2 halves to it. The next object I'm going to get is a triangle, which is three sides, then a square, then a gemstone, which, if you look at it closely, kind of has 5 sides to it, and then finally a hexagonal nut, which is the object that will open that gate down there. But I just have to keep going back up and down this. The task can do this stage a lot faster because there's actually a trick you can do with the physics engine, where if you can let go of an object and re-grab it on alternating frames, so one button press every 60 frames, then you can actually fly with an object in your hand. So you can just have the object kind of pull you up. But since we can't do that, we have to ride this 17-second cycle. No, you don't. How dare you? No, what are you doing? This is not a good look for me. Okay, we're just. Why do you keep turning around? See, this is the misery of this controller. Because every time I try to hit up, I hit up left. Okay, we're in there. I've only lost 1 cycle. I can live with that. Okay, I'm sorry. I was having a really brief moment of panic.
It's okay.
Okay, so this one is going to turn the gemstone, which I guess is sort of 5-sided, into the hexagonal nut, which opens the door. Boy howdy. I haven't sweat like that in a second. Alright, so the trick to this level is you actually need to get a key to the end of it, but if you look at the areas you're allowed to walk, there's a switch right here to my left, and you can't carry an item past it without hitting that switch. That would just be impossible. And that switch will open up the floor, and you just fall into a pit that you can't get out of. So we have to figure out another way to get the key up there. And in fact, it gives us this balloon that we can use to have it ride to the top of these steam vents, and I can just meet it at the top. But the timing's a little bit precise on that. I actually do a strat there that's a little bit risky. It's not that risky, but it's a little bit risky where you send the item up before you beat the enemies. And so if you take too long to beat those enemies, you're kind of screwed. Okay, I missed it. There is a fan in this level that the only way that I can make it through the fan is to have a heavy object in hand, so I need this cannonball. That was great. That's going well. Fortunately, doing this stage the speedrun way, having shoes which allows me to jump over that gap rather than climbing on these rooftops. Okay. Last try. How am I missing this cannonball over and over? I'm jumping way too early.
So this isn't costing you lives to...
No, I can exit with start and then hitting A, B, and C at the same time, anytime I want to. There we go, I got it. And then I can jump it back across here, and now I have it for getting through this fan. And then the final stage, which this does not seem like the intended strat, but I do assure you it is. I have to get a spiked orb over to that pedestal that I'm just walking away from right now, from this one. But I actually can't pick it up, so I have to push it with another object. And this is hell. This is the worst thing. Because now I have to get it through this section. Very much appreciated if you would just let me carry you. Okay, alright. This is better than I deserve. Yes? No? Okay. Okay.
That was actually very smooth for that
Yeah.
thing.
That could have taken about 4 minutes.
Let me know what time
Good.
I'll let you know when time is.
Is it in this level? Or?
Oh, is this going to be a sub 30? That's actually really good. This run, my PB for this run is really low, but a sub 30 is still a super respectable time for anyone in this game. Like, if you were like, oh, I kind of want to learn this, sub 30 is a really respectable milestone, and I think I've got enough time. still hit sub 130. So I'm pretty happy with that in general. This run can go a little bit sideways at times.
I hope it's sub 130.
Or sub 30. So this fight used to take longer, but we realized that if you stand in a really specific spot, you don't take damage and you get double hits on each section of lasers. I don't know why that magic spot just works the way it does, but it does. But I just don't take damage. Time's coming up. I'll tell you when. Now.
Yo, sub 30.
Hey!
We did it.
That's 6 sub 130.
So this game was originally made by a team, the original development team that started working on this game before they got pulled off the team, which is a whole story on its own. They were members of the demo scene, and you can really see that in the credits for this game. It looks like the sort of thing that you'd see if you like loaded a NES or a SNES or a Genesis demo. It says "well done," but you know, in the like, look, we made our letters out of like physics objects.
Look, it's Puggsy.
Hey, it's Puggsy.
Hi, I'm Puggsy.
Hi, I'm Puggsy.
You're Puggsy?
Yeah.
You don't look like one.
Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done.
So yeah, that's Puggsy.
You did Puggsy.
You did the thing.
Puggsy has escaped with the spaceship and is off to view some more of the universe.
Look out for Puggsy 2.
Puggsy Part
Look
2.
out for Puggsy Part 2 coming soon.
We're still waiting, Tim Burton. Sorry, John Burton.
Tim Burton.
I said Tim Burton.
Burton.
Well, if Tim Burton wants to make this game, I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, it would work out.
It would have a real tone to it. All right.
They had some really super